Izzy Barrett, and I'm the Artistic Director of the National Youth Jazz Collective. Welcome to our hashtag National Youth Jazz Wednesday, our weekly stream where we have guests, young musicians, and myself and my dear friend Nick Brown, who's our Programme Manager. Nick, come to the stage and say hello to everybody.
Hello, good evening, everybody. It's good to see you all.
How are you doing?
Very good indeed. It's been an incredibly productive week, and we've had an awful lot to do, but we've got an awful lot done too.
Well, your mastery of wizardry has taken a tour that was supposed to happen over the Easter fortnight in a number of different venues. As if by magic, you've managed to conjure up alternative dates because of the roadmap. And with that, the problems that you were faced with was some of the venues weren't available in those dates, and you found other venues. I mean, how did you do that in that short amount of time?
It's been a lot of phone calls, a lot of talking, and yeah, just a lot of meeting very nice people with venues that we can host our audition tour at and welcome all these amazing young musicians to come and meet us.
What I love about those conversations is it's an opportunity for us to introduce new people to what NYJC is doing. So people that have often never heard of us. And as we know, our family, once you're part of our family, you never go away. So I'm really thrilled to welcome today our guest artist who's from Canada, so there's a big time difference, and is definitely a member of the NYJC family. Came over and did the summer school in 2016, I do believe, and will be joining us for our 15th birthday next year. So please could you welcome to the stage Christine Jensen. Hello, lovey.
Hello, darling.
How you doing?
Good, thanks. It's the
What
afternoon here.
Is it?
Yeah, so I get to have tea. It's 1 o'clock.
And you've just finished some teaching as well. So you were teaching composition or ensemble play? What were you doing?
This morning I was teaching a fourth year. I teach at McGill University at Schulich School of Music, where we have a really amazing jazz program. And I teach mostly the third and fourth year undergrads in composition, in jazz composition, not classical.
Any interesting pieces that they were writing that you looked at today?
Yeah, I had them doing a birthday song based on the intervals of their birth date. So
Brilliant.
It's really fun. They do better than me. My birth date is really lame. It has too many ones and zeros, but at the same time, you can do anything. It's just an example of showing you that you can start with nothing and come up with something quite.
So is the
concrete.
idea that they've kind of inherited a theme that they haven't really been able to shape musically themselves, and then with that,
yeah,
the right composition. That's a brilliant way of working.
It's really fun. And my friend Jen Chailloux, I have to give her credit for this, although it's been used in the past world of composition, of trying to put intervals to numbers, right? And then taking those numbers and or taking numbers and putting intervals on them, and then you just mix it all up. And
it's quite Schoenbergian in a way as well.
I find it's you have a little bit more liberty. Schoenberg had a lot of restraints.
Yeah, absolutely.
Constraints.
To contextualize how we first met, so I was working with a pianist, Maggie Olin, over in Sweden. I think it was sort of 2006, 2007 when I first was over there doing some workshops, and we did a residential course. And I think, a Norwegian team of women from Norway were running a all-female summer camp, and then we were the two guest artists. So it was through them that we were introduced. And then, obviously, as you know, because knowing her so well yourself, Maggie is a very amenable and joyous and fun person. So we had a fantastic week, and through that talked a lot about, and through those connections she introduced me to Nordic Connect, which is the ensemble that you've got. And it was from hearing that band I just thought I've definitely got to get Christine over to work, not only with NYJC but to get you over here working with some British musicians. So might you explain what Nordic Connect is? It would be lovely to introduce the band to everybody.
Wow, Izzy, you're just pulling up a beautiful past, and I hope a future, because Nordic Connect has now, especially with what's going on now, has been on a bit of a hiatus. But in the mid 2000s, Ingrid introduced me to Maggie, my sister Ingrid, who's a fabulous trumpet player in New York. If you don't know who she is, you might want to Google her immediately. She is my favorite trumpet player in the world, and I'm being unbiased. So my sister Ingrid, she's my older sister and a big mentor to me. she went to Berkeley with Maggie in the 80s, and she always said, "Oh, Christine, you're writing music now. You need to meet Maggie. You need to meet Maggie." And I was like, "Who's Maggie?" "Oh, she writes really beautiful music." And then the beautiful thing about it, and I think this is where we get into maybe leaving our egos at the door and getting a little more humble and into the idea of sharing. Mm-hmm. We started Nordic Connect. We all got together probably in Sweden at the time. They had lots of funding and they brought us over for some tours. And then we were like, oh, well, if you're going to tour, you need an album. So we recorded, and then we toured Canada and the United States, and then back to Sweden, and we did another album. So we did 2 albums, and then Maggie and I went on to work on a larger ensemble, like an 11-piece with voice. Again, Maggie had this beautiful idea of challenging me to co-write with her and to write for voice, which I had never done before.
Oh.
So we did Transatlantic Conversations, and that turned into a tour. And then she went another step, because I was on my own at the same time. I was writing a lot of orchestral music for jazz orchestra, and I had 2 albums out here in Canada and the US that were doing really well. And she said, well, the Stockholm Jazz Orchestra will play your music. Let's do something with them. And at that point, they commissioned me to arrange her music for them. And she played. In fact, I'm not even sure she played on one of them. She was just in the audience listening to her music that I arranged. And then we went into another cycle where she went, oh, now I'm getting commissioned by jazz orchestras to write music. I need your help. I'm like, you don't need my help. You can do it. And she did it. And then, I think jazz orchestra is always an intimidating beast to work with a little bit. And then most recently, we did concerts of her music for jazz orchestra, which she still needs to record, that is incredible, and a set of my music, and we did it there. And then we brought her to Canada just before COVID, actually.
Oh, wow.
And it went off very well. And that's sort of the end line of where we're at so far. So COVID has dented us a little bit.
What was lovely about getting to know Maggie first, then hearing the album, and then getting to know you was that shared short story approach to, each that next album was just, each one is such a lovely vignette, a lovely short story, and everyone was really buying into it and really investing themselves into making sure that was a unique story. And later on, we're going to actually talk about one of the pieces in a bit of detail, which was lovely, because we do Sound and Music Summer School. They're coming next week to talk to us. And it's one of the pieces that you very kindly gave us the PDF, and you sent a lovely email as well describing how you came about to write it. So towards the end of the session, we'll have a looking in depth at that, which would be lovely, because I know a lot of the youngsters will be really fascinated by it. And I've got lots of questions to do with sort of beyond the score. So between the score and the recording, there are obviously things that have gone on and decisions that are made, and how much of that was in the moment and how much was it pre-discussed. So so we'll have a look together. But I love that thing of the spectrum of composition and improvisation, and that improvisedness is also part of the compositional process. So it never, especially for us as players, as writers, it never ends. So
it never ends.
What I thought would be lovely to do, and it's actually not related to the fact that Monday was International Women's Day. That came and went so quickly, but just by coincidence, we've invited 4 of the young musicians that we work with, and 2 did the summer school last year, and 2 have since left and are involved in other projects. So I thought it'd be lovely, as they're all composers as well as players, it'd be lovely for them to come and talk to you, and for them to actually interview you and ask you questions. I know that they've been looking into you online and hearing your music, and they've also got questions about themselves and their careers. So wondered if we might first of all welcome to the stage Clara. Hello, Clara.
Hi, Clara.
Hi.
Wondering whether you might just introduce yourself to everybody, just so that they know what instrument you play and sort of what age you are, where you're sort of based, and what jazz have you been playing since the summer school when we saw each other? What opportunities have you had?
I'm based in London. I play the trumpet. I'm 14. And yeah, I've just been trying to do as many online things as possible, like with NYJC, Tomorrow's Warriors, Niger, all that kind of stuff.
Well, the nice news is because you're actually quite local to me, and I've been really beavering away collecting all the people that we know that live locally, so that as soon as we come out of lockdown, the first thing we'll be able to do is actually start to get a bit of a local cohort together for people to play in person. So that would be great news. Can I introduce
Yay! You're all getting your shots so fast over there.
what
Things
are you
moving.
guys up to? Have you had
We're at 9-year-olds, probably, maybe 8-year-olds. Depends on, because where I am, it was terrible at the beginning of this pandemic, and now we're doing 7-year-olds. So yeah, it's slowly moving down. But I don't expect to be vaccinated till July.
we've got a little bit of noise interference. Might you come and diagnose what that might be? Nick, are you there? Come in, Nick.
Hello.
Hello, if we've got,
It might have stopped.
there, it's gone.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
You can go now then. Bye.
Yeah. Just disappeared.
And then I'd like to welcome Sophie as well. She's going to join us. Hello, Sophie.
Hello.
Similar introduction, where you are, what you're doing, what you play, what music you made since we last saw each other.
Yeah, I'm Sophie. I'm 17 years old. I'm from the Midlands, but at the moment I'm based in Manchester. Since this whole sort of lockdown situation, I think at the beginning I did a lot of looking outward with projects, doing a lot of stuff online. But of late, I found it really, really beneficial and helpful to sort of teach myself various new skills of music technology and production so that I can make some more of my own music as well.
And you play tune percussion as well?
Yeah, I play as much percussion as I can.
And so Clara and Sophie are part of the Creative Leadership Ensemble, which is a group that writes its own material and will be touring it and performing it. So very interested in composition as well. So Clara, may I hand over to you with your first question?
I'm just interested as a female musician. There've been a few situations like I've been overlooked for being a girl, but I've also had so many like amazing opportunities, like CLE and Women in Jazz Days. And I was wondering what your experience as a female musician starting out is.
Can you all hear me? Yes, you can. I would say I'm really lucky. I started with my mother being a piano teacher and player, and my entire family being just surrounding us with music. Fortunately, not limited to one genre. And so my mom was really interested in jazz piano trios a lot as a sideline. She didn't play it, but she listened to it. And we come from the land of Oscar Peterson over here, which in my youth was constantly coming off the radio or off the stereo. And I just think, I play the saxophone, but I do think there's so much connection to his music rhythmically and also the language of his jazz playing skills that just really inspired me to want to look at this music. Not to mention I'm the youngest of 3 daughters that all went through music school, so I was always at the end of the line of like, well, why don't you know this yet? Why haven't you checked this out? I mean, what's a 10-year-old gonna do? We just want to go, I don't know, explore other. I find my daughter's 10, and it's a really creative time of trying to escape reality. And I think I did that through piano lessons too, a little bit. And Maggie and I have talked about that, actually. Both of us did that, leading us to composition. Wanting to create your own world. I mean, it's very much like the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe idea of walking through a wardrobe into this surprise. And it's a great way to think about life and music.
And did you, during that formative period particularly, were you aware of gender? Or
a little bit. I mean, I would say up until you're 15 or until I was 15, I know I didn't want, Izzy, they put me on the Barry sax because I was the youngest in the band that could play. So I was put in an older band and I hated it. I was just like, this is so unattractive. I mean, it's like being the goalie of the hockey team. It's like, I don't really want to put all this clothing on, but, and not really be the center, right? But I still was playing alto saxophone and singing in choirs and things. So it was discouraging to me, that kind of idea. And it's because I was a girl, right? It wasn't because of music. It was because of my gender. But I grew up again with older siblings that, especially, actually both my sisters are incredibly strong people in the universe. And I don't think gender, maybe it was because of my mom, I don't know, but my mom just knew that we were really happy playing music.
Mm-hmm.
And that made her really happy. That we had a stable connection to something we had a passion for outside of being girls and being insecure. And that was still there, but at least music kind of gave us a curtain to be in front of or behind, that gave us another world.
And I like the image of the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. There are lots of musicians, I think, who had at some point that relationship with it, that it was a go-to disappear into relationship to sort of remove yourself.
Yeah, and also I love the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe too, because I think there's so much layering of drama in that entrance going. I mean, it wasn't like they walked into a perfect world,
Mm-hmm.
right? They walked into a world of dangers. They walked into a world of an environment that was not totally warm and welcoming, and they had to deal with their strengths. I just love. I mean, the older I get, the more I love that story. And I remember that feeling of just even opening a book, not that book, but any book, and just entering another space, you know. And music does that too.
It's the only book I actually, as a youngster, it's the only book I cried at with a bit when the lion dies, and I just was so shocked.
Oh yeah.
Like, no one had ever told me what the story was about as well, and it was just so beautifully written, and we were so invested at that point already in the characters. So, but yeah, Sophie, you got your first question.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask a little bit about your composition process, and whether you find that your ideas initially come from the same place, in terms of like perhaps you hear a melody first or a harmony first and then base it off that, or if the inspiration just comes from a new place every time.
It's pretty random. I'll show you a random page, I guess. This is pretty random. I just have this up all these lots of these actually. And some of them get completed and some of them don't. Some of them are they're just little sketches of either melodies, or maybe it's going to be a counter melody or a bass line or a rhythm. Sometimes I might just write a rhythm down. Castle Mountain, I think I wrote a rhythm down. And you can approach it from any angle. It's a motif that starts something, for lack of a better word. Some people call it a seed idea. It can be a color from a harmony. It can be a rhythm. It's so wide open, right? And then that's the fun part. It, as much as it can be the hard part, I think it's the fun part of the start. And I have lots of starts, and some of them didn't finish.
And when you do that start, you said that it comes from different angles. Is it intentionally? Do you challenge yourself to think, well, last time I wrote a piece, it was doing blah, blah, so this time I'm going to do this? Or is it just that variety comes from that initial seed as it volunteers itself?
Yeah, it volunteers itself. I like that. It's like given to me in a way. I mean, I still have to kind of create it, but intervals can be seeds, right?
Absolutely.
And I'm thinking about Castle Mountain now, which was so long ago. But maybe that's that's part of the process, is just do lots of starts or play off something else that is influencing you. It was so cool because we did Castle Mountain with Dave Holland in the room, and I was like, I know there was a point where I find his music is the hardest to connect to in terms of rhythm because he's using such complex rhythm. But then you get into it and you break it down and it's not so complex, his later bands. And at the same time, I was trying to go, oh my God, everybody's playing in 7. I need to write a line in 7. So that was probably a start of something. It might have been, sometimes I write lines too and I don't put bar lines and then I break it down. And so I've had a piece where I had a line that was in 5 that went to 9. And that was the start. Or I had a piece like in this case, it was 7. I might have started it in 6 or 8 or 9. I don't know. But I ended up finding a flow to the line in 7.
We've got at the end of March, we've got Pete Indies coming to talk to us, and he's talking about when he was with Tristano and the sort of correlation between intervals and rhythm and physics as well. So it's going to be interesting to carry the conversation on with, somebody else. And it's so second nature and natural the way that he talked about it. I was like, this was a real epiphany moment when we first talked. Didn't feel mannered or, faults. But I'm looking forward to sharing that. And the same with when we look at Castle Mountain as well, the way that grew. Clara, I know that we were talking earlier about a hiss, and I know it's probably coming from yourself, but don't be shy to come and we can have the question asked, because we'll definitely hear the question, and then we'll put you back on mute while Christina answers it. So come and join us again.
Sorry, I don't know what that is, but
Don't worry.
No worries.
I was wondering, when you compose for a band like Nordic Connect, do you keep in mind the specific, like when you compose your songs, do you compose them specifically for an album and keep in mind those musicians, or do you just write it independently?
That piece, most pieces I write independently, and then I go, oh, this will work with this. And also sometimes the musicians have feedback for me, like this isn't going to work, or maybe this will work. So I'm probably coming in with more material than you hear, and then we weed it out. Best to come in with more and do something. But I mean, the more you write, the more variation you get to work with, and the more stories you get to tell. You're not going to tell the same story over and over, right? One's going to be really sad. I had a student today write me like the most beautiful sad piece, and he goes, I didn't realize it would turn out so sad, and I was like, this is great, because it's a ballad. It's just a ballad. I just described sad, but it was a ballad, and it was a gorgeous ballad. And I was like, now you have a ballad to add to your repertoire. Like, you're gonna be able to pull that out for the rest of your life in your repertoire. It's a simple form, but you can do lots with it.
Are there pieces that you wrote a long time ago, that sort of his age, that you are still pulling out?
Yeah. I just played one the other day called Suite Adelphi, which has been manipulated. In fact, Nordic Connect did that piece too. So where did that start? I remember writing it on my sister's piano. God, probably 1999, because it was in Brooklyn. I distinctly remember writing the phrases, and they just like came out super fast. It's like a waltz. And it was so easy to write, because I guess I started with something strong enough that I could carry. It doesn't always happen. Trust me. I was just like, okay, I'm going to write this out. Oh, it's done. It wrote itself, and that can happen sometimes, but it's to do with working through the idea of putting time into the act of composition, which is also the act of being alone with your thoughts and having hopefully a good time with them, in terms of coming up. I mean, it's really fun, right? You're creating. There's not really another word for it.
I like when you suddenly have that moment in the process where you actually get ignited and goosebumpy Just, oh yeah, I can see where this is going to go now, and you never knew it at the start. It's shown again. It's shown itself. You had to have that time with it. You had to clear the decks and go and be.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I mean, there's a mental energy that must. It can happen through chaos too, but hopefully, um, whatever is around you, like I think of Maria Schneider, and I've talked about the process, and like when you're in it, you're really in it, and you're working, and it's chaotic, and then you leave, and you have to rest for a while because on that process, not rest like, oh my god, I have to go sleep for 2 weeks, but just rest the process of creation, because it really is, it's energy coming out of you.
And also seeing that a piece that you're writing is also the future of the next pieces you're going to write as well. And even if it's something
Yeah,
that you
that's
don't
true.
necessarily use, the whole process is
Hmm.
ongoing, and it's you're actually developing yourself, your creative muscles. So whether you actually use that piece itself, I often differentiate between, oh, this is actually a technical exercise that you're writing now, and this is a fully fledged composition. And sometimes you need those technical exercises just to develop your chops, your compositional chops.
Yeah, and also the idea of like you're just writing a never-ending suite, like Kenny Wheeler. It's just a
Yeah,
never-ending, and a suite. What is a suite? It's an album of music, or a length of time of music with very different movements, right?
absolutely.
So I love thinking about the suite. I don't put that on my students so much because I think it's a lot of work, first of all, and they're kind of writing a suite without knowing it through a semester of writing it. I mean, you're not going to write a suite in a day. I'm sorry. You're going to take some time, but it's about contrasting moods with a connection, and the connection is you.
I think, yeah, by pointing out the sweet thing, and then they'll be zooming out a bit too soon. It's nice to just say, right, we're doing this piece,
Yeah.
getting focused. So,
Yeah.
Sophie, I wondered if you've got one more question, and then I think we're going to Clara. I think you've brought something to share with us, a performance. So, Sophie, is there another question you'd like to ask?
Yeah, so you spoke a little bit earlier about some ideas that perhaps don't get expanded on or aren't completely fully formed. I wondered, do you ever come back to those ideas if they're not finished? And have you ever found perhaps one idea that earlier didn't make sense but then later did?
Yeah. I mean, that again, that has to do with, there's definitely some things I start, and then I just, a day later I go, that's not going to work. That's gone. But I leave it on the paper just in case. I don't throw things away very easily in that sense. But I think that with ideas, the strong ideas, I mean, there's been some weak ideas that I've had to strengthen. How's that? Just because of deadlines. Deadlines are a huge part of your process. You can make your own deadlines, or someone might give you a deadline. Those are the parameters around you with the music, right? It's hard in a pandemic because we're all just like alone, right? And the only way things happen is if we're allowed to go play with someone, or we do remote recordings. I've done a lot of remote recordings. I did one of an arrangement at the beginning of the pandemic, and that was like, how do I do this? But at least it was an arrangement, so I was not having to totally come up with everything. Anyway, just plan. I think a lot of things I write off the piano. That's my tool of choice, or the tool that was given to me, and I enjoy it. So just playing around the piano was really fun to me. But there's a point where I have to leave the piano and imagine the instruments playing too. Although in some ways, I know the range of the trumpet, I know the range of my instruments, so it's a little easier for me to grasp on the piano. But I still can't play every line. Like Castle Mountain, I could never play that out on the piano. I'm sorry. I can play the bass line, or I can play the melody, but I can't. So that one I had, and that one I wrote a lot, like just in a room, not not able to really um, I think I had to imagine it rhythmically really well because they're two independent lines for the most part, if not three.
Do you always write on manuscript? Do you use Sibelius?
Yeah, I use finale. So playing back can help, right? You can put a bass line in and play back and put a melody over it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do that now because sometimes I write really complicated bass or lower parts, and then I have to fit an upper part over it, and that's fun too because that's just shapes. You've created a sort of a scene for the character. That's how I like to think about it.
And what's great about your writing is that you take responsibility for that baseline, that you set it up, and then you give them the symbols to set them free, so that then they know the context in what what you've already created. You don't just start with here are the chords that is in the rest of the composition. So if you just do whatever you like that spell these changes out, you give it a real identity and a personality.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's to do, I guess, with its intervallic relationships a little bit. I know you have questions about the piece, or you've read through that, but that really, this doesn't always happen, but in that case, I was actually in a residency of composition by myself in solitary confinement, basically, before we really knew what that meant. And I was at Banff, which is a beautiful, spectacular view of the Rocky Mountains. And literally that bass line was me walking. Literally walking up a hill.
Mm.
That was all it was. It was just like, I gotta just keep going and going and going. And then it gets, it stretches a little bit more, and there's a bit of release, and there's a little bit of tension, and but just small intervals, kind of, right? Smallish.
So, does life influence your musical content of your compositions? Or
I think music's what I compose is a reflection of how I'm feeling in life, and literally in that case, just so you know, I was by myself. I made myself go. I was on an emergency deadline of writing a different piece, and that piece came out of it separately. But there were two events that happened that I'm very clear about. There were no jazz musicians around me at this residency, which was great. I was on my own with visual artists, and I've done a similar one in Paris where I was mostly influenced by visuals. And these are just life. I don't know. It's just what life threw at me. I didn't pick it. So one day, a weekend, you're in the mountains, you've acclimatized, you're like, wow, this is so nice. I need to actually connect with people and nature now. And there was a little list on the board that said, oh, group hikes, you're invited. And I hadn't done anything. And I wish I could show you the picture. You can look it up. Just type Alberta, Castle Mountain. It said moderate. I think it said, there's different levels. Moderate level hike. I think I had my runners. I didn't even bring my hiking boots. Literally, we were scaling up a cliff, and the leader was wearing bear bells, which means there's bears around us. And she's like, oh, what? Every once in a while, you might want to yell or sing. And so that's the story of that piece. Because it started out okay, but if you go look at that mountain, it goes, oh, this is cute. And then it's just like straight up and then flat at the top where you sit and look down at the world, which is incredible. So you get this great experience out of it. Wow. But it was definitely like, I'm not a hiker. Like I don't live around the mountains hiking, even though I grew up around them. But where I am here, I definitely am not a mountain hiker. This was like a vertical climb.
Wow.
And it was a beautiful day. So at the top, it felt like winter at the top. It was in August or something, but it was really, it's an catching those exhilarating experiences is kind of what I do sometimes.
Remember hang gliding, Maria's piece about hang gliding, that feeling of, I think it was the first time she'd done hang gliding. I think.
That would be a similar thing. You're just like
holding it.
I mean, my new sport now is paddle boarding, which also is a similar feeling in a weird way. It's very calm, it's very yoga, but at the same time, you're dealing with the natural elements. And I don't know, I like trying new experiences. I went back to downhill skiing. That's fun too.
Well, talking of new experiences, this is a good opportunity to invite Clara to tell us about the piece that you've sent in for us to have a listen to. I think you've pre-recorded it, haven't you? So Nick's going to play it. So should we hand over to you? I think it's about 3 minutes long. So, and then we'll be back to introduce two more guests who are going to come and talk to Christine. So for now, thanks everybody, and over to you, Nick. Great. Woohoo! When did you first discover Monk, Christine?
That's stunning. Go, Clara. Have you met Ingrid yet?
I had a masterclass with her.
Oh, good. Wow. Wow. I hope you stay in touch with her and send her that video. Could you? I texted her. You have to. So no choice. I'm like, you got it. Nice sound. Nice feel. At first, I thought it was a little stiff, and then I was like, oh no. Now it's like you warmed up into the piece a little bit too, with the tempo changes too. but gorgeous, really. What a beautiful. Who are you studying trumpet with?
He's called James Mayhew, but
All right. Have you met Nick Smart?
no.
Oh, we have to. Well, no, we need to find. I don't know. We need. There's so many women playing trumpet so well in the UK anyway. So amazing. Just another one's coming at us. I can't wait.
Yeah, keep doing what you're doing.
Go, Clara. I don't know what to say. I mean, Monk is the genius of all geniuses of jazz composition. To
Totally.
me, I mean, he talk about expressing, capturing sound that makes you feel something. Do you know what I mean? Like you feel New York sometimes. You feel Harlem, like what the idea of the sound of that city is, and also the humor in it.
He seems to distill things so that it's so small and yet it's massive. What even the simplest, what appear to be the simplest of motifs, actually are so profound and deep. And that little Rooty Tooty Big Band Town Hall, that's one of my favourite. Obviously, 'cause it's a baritone solo, but I love that Rooty Tooty arrangement.
Well, he also, I like what you said. He has these simple motifs, and then he puts this complex harmony underneath it sometimes that I find difficult to navigate, and I'm always afraid. But then you can kind of go to this other level of just ignoring the harmony and getting into the idea of the spirit of the piece too. I mean, you still need the harmony part.
It's almost like he's played musical Jenga. He's kind of built something and then thought, well, I don't need that, I need that, don't it? And it still manages to keep its shape. It is genius. I would love to have met him, spoken to him. And his humour about his presentation, things like wearing glasses that had no glass in, and seeing some of those videos with Teo, and and taking time about what colour jacket shall I wear for the big Harlem photo so that I stand out and things like that.
And he wrote under 100 pieces of music that were published. So it's like 80 pieces. That's all we have to know.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like it's a thesaurus, sort of every compact short story. Let's welcome to the stage our next two guests. Stay with us, Clara and Sophie, but I'm going to introduce you first of all to Alex Clark. Come and join us, Alex.
Hi there. You are. Hi.
So, fellow saxophonist, and recently was in the finals of Young BBC Jazz Musician of the Year. So, where are you at the moment? I think you're in the Midlands.
Yes, I'm based in Warwick. I did a year at the Birmingham Conservatoire and I left at the end of my first year, and now I work as music assistant at Warwick School, alongside playing and until COVID hit, and composing, and yeah.
And a true Trojan, because by working at Warwick, you've actually been in the thick of it, haven't you, with all looking after youngsters during. Do you want to explain what you've been doing? So not just as a musician, but just as a facilitator for the youngsters and keeping them all safe as they come to school.
Yeah, that's right. So we moved all of our teaching online. So we were running ensembles 3 times a day remotely, via Microsoft Teams, which posed its challenges.
Oh, wow.
But we sort of found our own way of making it work. And by using the breakout rooms, just giving the kids a chance to still play and still develop and have that regularity of getting their instruments out. And now we've come back to school and I've been involved with COVID testing and all other non-musical things. It's been great getting them all back in the same room and having that sense of camaraderie again. It's been really nice to see, and they're all so pleased to be back.
So have you got a question for Christine?
Yes, I was wondering, who is your most sort of influential saxophone player? Who sort of made you fall in love with the instrument and really sparked your passion for jazz?
Oh, I'd say the usual 2 on alto, Cannonball and Charlie Parker. On it, and actually, I'd add Paul Desmond to it too. I really liked his melodic approach to things. I think that played into my compositional abilities a bit, and understanding simple phrasing that is so beautiful. Like I used to transcribe him a lot or play along. Yeah, and then later on, more modern players like Steve Wilson gave me some lessons, and Dick Oates. They're both great for me.
Dick's name's cropped up quite a lot over the last few months, talking to people, both
Yeah.
who play with him as people who've studied with him. Yeah,
He's a really, really beautiful teacher. I mean, he's so caring, and gets right to the point, and so solidifies those basic things you need to be able to navigate that world of improvisation on the alto.
we get a lot of people who come to us in the early stages of playing the music, so they might have actually got really accomplished on their instrument, but they've not really had much engagement with jazz. And when I ask, have you got a teacher, often it will be a classical teacher, and I'm wondering, from your perspective, how important is it to actually have a jazz teacher to be helping you on your instrument?
I actually never had a classical teacher on my saxophone instrument, and so when I when I went to university, I did, because my jazz teacher was also an accomplished classical saxophonist coming out of the French Conservatoire, and most of the people in Quebec that play saxophone do some conservatoire, whereas on the West Coast, we were just jamming basically, and not working on the technique as much in terms of classical approach to etudes, etc. My idea of an etude was a Charlie Parker omnibook. I was like, this is so crazy how hard this is. I want to play through it. But that also was limiting in some ways, but also helpful in terms of technique, actually. So, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I think everybody finds a portal, and now with the internet, you can find so many ways of learning your instrument.
Yeah,
right.
I think it's really important to have some tuition from an authentic jazz musician. I don't think you can just learn it in isolation. I think it really helps you. So I would.
Oh well, I mean, playing with someone else, or you have the artificial play along situation. There's many ways of doing that. That's not unhelpful. It's not real, but it at least gives you something to be able to work on your phrasing with, I think, as opposed to sitting in a room with someone who's not a jazz musician.
Definitely.
To play jazz. I mean, they don't really go together. It's like learning backgammon with someone playing chess, They're both interesting, but very different ways of doing a game.
So the other person that we've invited to join us is Piera. Piera's a pianist, and Piera did the ambassador scheme. Alex is going to come and be teaching on the short course as well this summer, and Piera did the ambassador scheme and was supporting us in the summer school this year, and we'll be doing other things. So our next faculty, early stage career faculty members. So Piera, come and join and introduce yourself to Christine.
Thanks,
Alex.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm really weird.
Hi, Piera.
Hello. My name's Piera. I am a graduate of the jazz course at Birmingham Conservatoire. Graduated in 2015. I'm now working as, much like Alex, I'm a teacher, and I play as well. So I teach kind of lots of different age groups now, and lots of different things, kind of both piano and theory and other bits. And I also perform again. Was performing, not so much now. But hopefully soon.
So do you have a question for Christine?
Yeah. So having kind of checked out your sort of smaller ensemble and your, big band jazz orchestra stuff, I was kind of sort of listening to the difference between them in just compositionally, and I actually found they kind of seem to really tie together in terms of just like an overarching sound, obviously, because you wrote them all. And my question was, do you find that the big band stuff sort of feeds into the smaller ensemble things at all? Just because the kind of the lushness and the grandiose of the jazz orchestra recordings I heard seemed to be really present in the smaller stuff as well. I wondered if that was kind of
probably the other way around. I think, especially, you've probably heard me playing with my sister a lot. She's got this really, her and I have a real, some people say our unison sounds like an orchestra, which I think is cool.
That's a great quote.
That's a great quote, right?
Yeah, lovely.
And we have a really big sound together, partly because I have to match her sound, which is huge, um, or try to match it, or try to also be different from it. But those things um, define, I guess, my phrasing a little bit. And then, what is orchestration but expansion of timbres, which you can't do with a quintet? So luckily, the piano turns into the orchestra in terms of voicings, and yet expanded more. And the rhythm section stays the same to me. I might have to work on expanding my form a bit more for more development because I have more people. But at the same time, that's kind of an extension of the improvisation of the smaller group things sometimes. Or I might have to just come up with another section for another soloist because I need to have something else added to the piece that was small group. If I'm expanding something from small group, which I've maybe played with that quintet before, which is super inspirational, by the way, because it makes me go, oh, this is not a defined thing. It's very malleable, everything I can do with structure that I've created. And that's really kind of the fun part of it. And it's sort of the start of how I wrote my first big band piece. You have to do that for school, and it sucked. And then I revised it a little bit more, and then I just kept adding to it. And I was like, oh, wait a second. Now it's got its form. Now I'm going to go on to the next one. Yeah. It comes from small to big, I think.
I always felt like in the early days of writing, particularly, sometimes, like you say, things would write themselves, but I can also remember sometimes like grappling with form, particularly, and it was like George and the Dragon, who's going to win?
The form becomes defined as you work upon it. It's much like adding structure to a painting, I would imagine. Like, got to start somewhere, and how far are you going to go into it, and how thick are the textures going to be, I guess. And
if you go with it in real time as well, it whispers. It will tell you, it whisper you where you want to go next. Whereas if you sort of sit and look at it like a picture, you need to really get right inside, don't you? Talking of which, sorry, I didn't let you answer the question.
Oh no, it's good. It's just I think about lead sheets versus orchestral scores. They're just totally different animals. A lead sheet, you can get a lot out of a lead sheet.
Mm-hmm.
But the more people you have, the less you can use a lead sheet, I guess.
So Alex, you brought a video of yourself playing. Might you explain to us what the track is? And again, I think it's about 3 minutes long, so it'd be lovely to have a little musical pause and then we'll come back again. So if you explain, I didn't give Clara a chance to explain before. If you explain, and then Nick will press play.
So this is an original composition that I wrote specifically to play in the final of the BBC, and it sort of ties together my two main loves in jazz, which are early traditional New Orleans music, because that's how I sort of came into getting into jazz, going down to local traditional jazz clubs and sitting in with all those old school bands. And my other love, which is bebop. So I wrote a contrafact on the tune After You've Gone, and in a bit of humour switched up the title, so it's called Before You Arrived. And just wrote a straight ahead bop melody over the top. I'm a big Phil Woods fan, and he was sort of my influence behind the spirit of it. And in terms of my composition process, I'm a straight ahead player. That's kind of how I describe myself. So I think this composition reflects that.
Might you just explain for those watching that don't know what a contrafact is?
So a contrafact is a tune based over a standard set of chord changes, but a new, fresh, original melody.
Brilliant. And just remind everybody that's watching, if you would like to ask any questions, do put them in the comments. They do get forwarded to us. So for now, I'll hand over to Nick, who's going to play the video of Alex's lovely original composition. See you in a few minutes. Fantastic.
That was so great. Thank you, Alex. So great to hear you. Wow, I totally hear the spirit of Phil Woods and Louis Armstrong in that.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you very much.
You have an electric bass, but it still works, right?
When whose decision was it about the duo with the drums? Was that, did they ask you to choreograph everything, or did they ever intervene and say, oh, because of the programming, it would be quite nice to have a duo here with the drums?
We sort of talked it over in rehearsals. I've sort of been indoctrinated through doing lots of gigs with house rhythm sections to go into doing fours with the drums. But actually, when you've got Mark in front of you, it seems almost a shame not to waste that opportunity to have a bit more dialogue and a bit more spontaneity.
So we
Yeah.
came across Mark Mondaisy, and it was also Nikki Yeo on piano. So they're both parts of NYJC's faculty as well. Have you come across those two musicians, Christine?
I don't think so.
Drummer and the so definitely people that you'll meet during the 15th birthday.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. But I like that you did the duo because it really breaks it down to your interpretation and your strengths, right? Working with time, especially when you get down to drums. And I think it's a really important thing to be working on all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And it makes you really aware of where you're placing things and that awareness of form. And I think it's something that should be done more often because we become so dependent on our ears guiding us through
Oh,
the changes.
absolutely. Yeah. Or, you know, it's hard enough when you go into trio with just bass and drums, but take the bass out and do drums. And all of a sudden, you're in charge and no one else is there to catch you. Even the drums, he's going to, you know, he's so structured on the form, yet it is that spontaneity that needs to happen too. You can't just, you know, play quarter notes.
And it's great the way you've fed him ideas as well, because knowing Mark really well, I know he would have appreciated that rather than just being expected to accompany you. That true interaction. And
well, you could see he was smiling. He was so happy, right? Oh, Mark, I played with Mark, didn't I? I can't remember.
No, he wasn't on the summer school. No, it
No,
might have been when
this
he gig in London.
oh,
Because you
maybe.
went to play with Nicky Isles, didn't you, in Percy Purseglove?
Yeah, it wasn't him though, but I don't know. I feel like I've met him somewhere, maybe Ronnie Scott's or something.
Yeah.
Down at Ronnie's. What a hang that is. You're so lucky to have it.
Well, we haven't. None of us have been there for a wee while, sadly, but we're looking forward.
No.
Piera, have you got one last question before we start to talk about Castle Mountain? Is there anything that's come out? And particularly wondering if anything is sort of, if your muse has responded to anything, you know, that is thinking, I think I might have a go now.
One of the things that that sort of semi came up that I did want to sort of talk about was this idea of sort of jazz education versus just kind of breaking the rules. And because one of the things I found really hard when I came out of studying was to think of when I'm composing, to kind of just let go of all of the rules I was taught and the kind of formal training that I was given, you know, theoretically and whatnot. So I wondered how much you kind of you break free of that in your own writing, or how much you kind of are informed by the tradition and such.
You said the two important words, tradition and breaking the rules. Those two things are the yin and yang of what this art of music is. And I think we all need a bit of, you know, structure and tradition in order to be able to push past it to create something of our own. So I actually have a friend that just did a video on this whole topic, this whole question. I'll send it to you. It's so fun to watch. David Braid, who comes over from Canada to the UK a lot these days. Great composer, pianist. Anyway, it's really interesting because I do think we're always given some sort of structure to work with, right? Like, if you don't have a structure to work with, what are you working with? Do you know what I mean? Like, are you writing for two people or just yourself? If it's a vertical instrument, it's going to be a bit tricky. Just writing for yourself, but you can. Don't say that you can't. But these are all things like, where can I push my boundaries? I definitely did it. I broke rules all the time, little ones at first, and then bigger ones, and then I'd go back to little ones. So you can still hear it in my music. Like, there's rules being broken. Monk broke so many rules. I mean, but look how perfect he turned out with his music and his playing. As long as I think, as long as sometimes it comes down to two things for me, and I heard it from everyone today, which is your sound and your time. If you can keep those things under control, you can probably break quite a few rules around those two things. And in composition, that means going for a sound. You still have time. Like, how are you dealing with time? But it's amazing how good things turn out when you think they're not going to, because of taking some risks. Right, Izzy?
Absolutely. I was just fiddling with the buttons for the PDF and suddenly realizing I need to ask Nick a very quick question when we come and talk about the Castle Mountain. But for me, I think it's also that if you've got a breadth of listening, you find that what was a rule in one area becomes broken in another area. So the whole music around you is constantly being breaking rules. So I have to say I kind of ignored all the rules and just
Yeah,
thought,
I mean,
authentic sonically to me, what am I drawn to? But yeah, I remember in the first days, I remember parallel fifths, people saying you shouldn't have parallel fifths.
yeah, I know.
Well, there goes
Yeah,
Bartek then.
yeah. I wrote a whole piece with parallel fifths on a bridge, in contrast to the perfection of not doing it. So,
Do you,
yeah, and I think there are some rules, you have to understand range,
yes,
obviously. And that's not complicated to figure out. There's about 1,000 examples on just YouTube of range for things. Then intervals and how you, the best thing you can do is, I probably made the most mistakes by just having the music played and then going and editing it to make it so that it was playable. I guess it's a lot to do with putting the music in front of other people.
I think just as people, you have to put yourself out there when you're improvising. You have to play publicly. You can't do it all on your own. And the same with composition. You sometimes have to have made those choices that you realise, oh, that don't work. But I tend to, and then you know for next time because you've got it in your head, you've heard it, you've seen it, you've seen what the issues are it's thrown up. But when I was teaching harmony, I was head of harmony before I was head of jazz at Trinity, and I was really mindful of saying to people, these aren't rules necessarily, these are guidelines if you want to write in the style of somebody so that it's not so cryptic. No one's going to get sort of struck down by lightning, but it's in a law of average, somebody, if you want to write in that style, this is how they would have done it so that you can mimic them in that style. And if it's the sound that they created that you're looking for, then that's sort of the nice guidelines for how to achieve it. I'm wondering though, from your question, do you, when you compose, do you feel, Piero, that you've got sort of a bit of a judgmental voice giving you a narrative as you're going along? Can you lose yourself in the composition?
I think more like as I guess as I get older and as I maybe get a little bit more experience with it, things I think I do let go of the idea of the rules, that kind of thing, more and more. But I don't know if that's just because the rules are clearer. So I keep saying the rules as if they're it's like, but I think
the history and the tradition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think it's more like they've become clearer, and therefore when you do sort of move away from them, they're embedded more, so they are just there, if you know what I mean. So but I think that was one of the real big things that I found hard to kind of to move away from. I found just keeping just composing more and becoming more kind of affiliated with my own style, or like settled with my own style maybe.
Your style will find you.
Yeah,
you're not going to find it necessarily as much, and that comes from you having this idea of openness in front of you and checking out so many different things. I sometimes tell my students, listen to music you hate, not bad music. There's good music and bad music, but there's good music you might hate actually. And for example, I think I sat for 4 hours with Stravinsky's Rite of Spring until I really enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it at first. I had a really hard time with some of it. And then 4 hours is not enough, but it was something that was a structure, and by the time I was done with it, I was like, oh my God, I felt like something changed. I had collected some information that helped me to be able to move forward into broadening my horizons. So I don't know if that's the greatest example. There's some other ones, but you know, it can be hard sometimes to challenge yourself.
Do you draw on those sounds from the more contemporary classical composers in your own writing?
I don't think so. I try. I really try. I have friends that are great classical composers, and I don't understand everything that happens all the time. And sometimes I think that the melody is not revealed so easily these days, and that's one thing that I've always kind of kept at the forefront of my writing. Again, I didn't choose it. It chose me. That idea, and that's where you have to let it go, and you have to, you know, who are you creating for? The people that you're trying to impress? I hope not, because they're going to be pretty impressed by anything more than you think. The audience, or I mean, you always have those little devils and angels on your shoulders, and I tend to try to go over to the angel. Like Maggie might be an angel because she'll be like, I love what you're doing. And I'm like, but you're amazing. How can you love what I'm doing? I mean, I'm just trying to do what you're doing. You know, these kind of things. Or Ingrid, the same thing. Or my teacher in life that I keep always doing little emails to, Jim McNeely. I don't do enough emails with him, but he's so complex to me, and so like, wow, how do you do that? You know? Just how do you do 4 bars? I can't do those 4 bars, you know.
Talking of which, I'm wondering whether we might move on to Castle Mountain and have a look. I've set it up so we've got the PDF, because that would really sort of share and illustrate some of the things that we've all been talking about. And so just for now, if I could ask Alex and Piera to put themselves on, turn the video off of the mic, and we'll just have a little chat about this piece. And what I propose we do is, how about if we just play the very opening, so that we get the sort of the first section, A and B section, just so that people hear the bass line, just get the vibe of the piece, and then we could just talk through a few key points, and then at the very end, I thought we could then play the piece in its entirety, because I think it's about 7 minutes long, so that would be a nice thing to go out on.
Okay.
So how about if, just to begin with, just to get everybody up to speed with the kind of the sonically where it is, and then we could have a bit of a chat. I've got a few key questions, and we can share the score while we're talking about things. So I will, in my clunky kind of, I'm not very IT literate, I'd much rather a pencil, a piece of manuscript, but I think this might work. So I'm going to play the track and share the first page. Here we go. Oh, no. Already too late. Here we go, from the top. Just got to share the score. Now, just because we've got the flavour of the bass line, which you were talking about, and you sent this beautiful email to us, which, can I read it out? And
I don't remember doing this. Okay, go.
Yeah, my composition process on this piece. This is quite, this is about 2008, I think, or 9.
Let's see if I'm still the same person.
My composition process on this piece was inspired from talking to a visual artist at a residency in Banff. He discussed doing daily exercises at the beginning of the day, composing short sketches that warmed up the brain with the idea of free form in mind. I just wrote the bass line and then transposed it all over the place. And I went back to the sketch and picked out the strongest parts and created a contrasting melody. That's that piece in a nutshell. The bass line is everything. And so that what drew me to this piece was you feel that strength of the bass, and also compositionally to be starting from the bass when teaching, you know, young musicians about composition. It's quite nice, like you say, to start with an ingredient. And in this, it was not, people don't always start from the bass. They think about the melody and then harmonizing it and sticking the bass in at the end. And so I just thought it was a wonderful starting point.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool thing. I just watched this guy from Mexico. He invited me to his, or they had an open house of what they were doing. It wasn't a open opening of an exhibition. It was just an open house, and the artists were talking about all their processes of creating the starts of their visual pieces. And then this guy had this table full of little scraps of what looked like cartoon drawings, but then you looked on the wall and you saw this quite magnificent oil painting of abstract art. Two different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, what is all that like on the table? And he goes, that's my practice. Like, he just practiced doodling every day to start, which reminds me of like doing morning pages from The Artist's Way, which is a book from the 90s that we all got into, about which was created out of working on writer's block. So if anyone has writer's block, just force yourself to write little sketches. And that's what I was doing when that was my emergency vamp session of oh my God, I have a deadline. I have to write 2 pieces. I think I had to write 2 pieces or something of large ensemble. And I was like, oh my God, got to get this done. But I had to go through this process. And Castle Mountain was the process toward those other 2 pieces that are totally different, by the way.
So like you say, your practice piece and led on to.
Out of that table of scraps, there was actually some stuff I took and I kept being able to regenerate to something else. And you can hear that idea of the intervals opening up in the bass line and getting wider, and also the melody too. So it's a bit of a counterpoint too.
And then with that, because it's got a lovely 7 feel, did that come naturally, or did you think I want to write something in 7?
You know, I don't remember at the time. I think I said earlier, maybe I wrote in 6 or 9 or something. I don't really remember, but boom, 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 boom. It might have been in 4, and then I threw in the 7. Doom, 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 doom. I mean, it's a clave that I created, or I didn't create it, trust me. Somebody else did, but something I grabbed upon that gave me a pulse. And it really did come off that horrible hike I did that was actually beautiful. So I was, you know, trying to get that idea, that motion of building and widening intervals, which is contrary motion occurring as organically as I can get it to between 2 lines. And I didn't really care about the harmony so much. The harmony kind of made itself sit.
So it's lovely how it's got that 4 and then the 3. And the way it sets itself up, both rhythmically and tonally as well. You can really feel, and the fact that you're not in a hurry to move away, you're letting it unfold. The sort of the harmonic rhythm gets more and more intense.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a really bad juxtaposition on the 2nd page. I think if you go to page 2 of the top line, that spinning idea, I had to really become independent rhythmically with the melody. I wanted this sort of, without, again, thinking too hard, putting 3s over the 4, which made it uneven for a moment there.
And again, did you hear that and want to evoke it, or did you? Well,
I know I probably played around with that rhythm on the top line, and not because I didn't want to move the bottom ostinato.
Mm-hmm.
It's an ostinato that subtly moves, and I didn't want to change the rhythm. But the top, I knew I had a freedom of doing anything I wanted on it, of rhythm. But I did have to move it around so that it was comfortable to play. I mean, it's a bit awkward, but if you keep the line smooth, it helps.
And I think it's lovely the way that that momentum then sort of inspires the harmonic rhythm to change. So that beginning up with it as 4 bars, and then, you know, moving its position, but not being in a hurry.
Yeah,
to,
there's a bit of transposition, and also the lightening of the color because of being minor, and then minor to major idea or dominant idea going, and also the pull back to the minor at the end. I never thought about that, but I do remember working with that altered chord and trying to find a way to get back to the beginning also. And also there's a 3-bar phrase in it there, that going to that diminished, which a diminished is just a passing chord, if I recall from being it, you know, slammed into my head in classical world, which is smart because I now teach jazz students that don't have those rules that are made to be broken. Remember, girls? But that is a passing diminished, and it just keeps, instead of passing to something else, I decided to repeat it, the passage 3 times, which is repetition. It's just plain old repetition.
But with that movement, it's the melody itself, it increases in momentum and then it relaxes again. And
yeah.
I'm wondering, when you recorded it, in the relaxation of the melody, the first time you play it, Ingrid put some improvisation.
Oh, don't you love that, how she does that? That's what I love about Ingrid, is she always adds what sounds like written out lines nearly that I might have written out. Instead, they're her lines, and now I want to take them and put them into the chart, you know? She's just so great at improvising the counter line, or a better word for it is she enhances the work through her improvisations in the form, not even in her own. We didn't even get to her improvising, but she's one of a few people in my life that really inspire me compositionally from their playing.
And I'm wondering, with that, you know, when the melody comes back in again, so that was not, it wasn't discussed, that was just intuitive. You didn't say, when we get to this bit, I'd like you then to.
No, we don't say anything. When we work together, nothing is said, trust me. If it is said, it's because I'm like, I'm not sure I like, if it feels like she's interrupting me, I might say it, but then in the end, she's usually right, because I'm the composer, and I'm like, how dare you interrupt my space? But at the same time, I've given you this space to do what you like. And that's breaking the rules, right? That's really that's the nice thing. And I'll say it to all of you, like, take risks and try to get your voice out, because if you suppress it and do what you're told, not much is going to happen in life.
And it's also why we book people, isn't it? It's why we choose to work with them. We want them.
Yeah.
I remember
they bring a higher element to the game.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
That's what we get with Dave Holland. That's what we get with Ingrid. That's what we get with Nikki Isles. All these people, they're just bringing it in, and they're going to magnify it and explode it even more. So whatever is good is going to be better.
So with that in mind, when you wrote the piece, so there's this lovely structure that we've just heard, which is repeated twice for the head, and then you use that structure initially for your beautiful soprano solo, and then there's a fantastically gorgeous Rhodes solo as well from Maggie. And during that, because we will have a listen to it in a moment, during the soprano solo, there's some trumpet backings, and again,
she made those up.
And then the same with the Rhodes, after the Rhodes solo, then it's a bit of ensemble, which you then wrote to take us into the drum solo. And it's really clever, what you did with the drum.
But is Ingrid soloing on this track? She must be soloing at the end, no?
Yeah, at the very end on the outro.
Yeah, so that's another thing of a simple form where we'll find a new door to open to feature someone on a different form within the form, for lack of a better word. that solo structure I built is a little bit different than the whole form, if I recall.
Yeah.
A little bit, and not much, just a little, just because there was this kind of seamlessness I wanted to have happen, I guess. But yeah, I mean, you know, the first time we played the melody, the second time you heard a big textural change, which was the horns opening up. I didn't change anything, but Ingrid took off the mute and the bass went down the octave. That's a really important element, because that bass line played up the octave, which I spent time with the bass players that I've had to, you know, convince to play my music, whatever. No, they play my music, but I'm like, can you play that up the octave? And I know it's a hard hand position, but to keep in tune. It's not that it's hard, it's just intonation wise.
Mhm.
And I say, I want it to sound a bit like a kalimba. Doom, 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 doom. So not necessarily the rhythm of a kalimba, but just that higher pitch sound. So that's what I have.
Like a percussive whisper more than a.
Yeah, so it's a little lighter texture without doing much to the chart. I didn't write that in the chart.
The reason I was focusing on the drum solo is having had that beautiful expansive, it makes me think of like the Rockies, where you've got a real long, you can really see for a long distance. And then we've had.
And that's where I get to the top of the mountain. With my view. The view is so cool. When you look at the picture of Castle Mountain, there's this flat top part. You know, it's like a castle that it's just really vertical, and then there's a flatness, and then it goes vertical again. We didn't do the second part. It's very, very vertical. But you get to this flat part and you sit down and you can see everything. You can see hundreds, it feels like hundreds of miles, and you see a little tiny train line, which is a huge train if you're down there, line, like one of the Trans-Canada train lines. And you see the train and you're like, it's so tiny. It's like when you look at those little, you know, when people have their little miniature train sets, it looks like that.
And was that your thought when you got to the drum solo? Because it's really beautiful the way it then just goes down to the riff, and it's like a percolating.
Well, that's my brother-in-law, John Weekon, master of so many things. He's so good at dynamically controlling things or working with things, and also strong time and pulling from those influences that we're talking about rhythmically to create, to do his improvisation.
And it seems to me that the strategy of getting out of that and then going on into the out head was that you are cueing with the stab. So you and Ingrid bring in sort of stab.
Oh yeah, that's right. Off the little piano line I did of 2 notes.
Yeah. So that
they're the little clusters. Yeah.
So that would have been discussed, or would that just have happened at some point and then everyone sort of clocked it and it becomes part of the.
I can't remember. Probably we discussed it at the time.
It's a clever.
But I think it works. It was I like to have different. If I've written, this is a 3-line score, it's nice that everybody can play a different part of the 3 lines and be able to interchange.
And I love Maggie's Rhodes playing, because she treats the Rhodes like a Rhodes and not like a pianist trying to play them.
She's a genius at the Rhodes.
And that reminds me a bit of the Jenga analogy earlier on. It's just that I don't need all these notes. These are the ones that I need. And it's still.
Oh, yeah.
I know Jeff Keezer said she's his favourite Rhodes player. Jeff Keezer said that when I saw him recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking it'd be wonderful as we sign off to actually share this piece, and I'll sort of share the PDF, and I'm definitely not expecting you, I know how busy you are because it's the middle of the day, so I'm not expecting you to stick around.
Still have some more teaching to do, yeah.
But I'm wondering, first of all, how does it feel to be reconnected with NYJC? And things have changed quite a lot since we saw each other. It's grown quite a lot with this new cohort of youngsters and different things.
Wow.
So I'm really excited about bringing you in next year for the 15th birthday. And obviously we'll look at options of trying to get some gigs around the summer school as well, so that you're not just over for the summer school, but we can see if we can get you some performing.
Yeah, let's see how it goes. Clara, like hearing Clara, I think she's the youngest of this cohort.
Yeah, let's get them all back. Come and join us, everybody.
It's always, I go, oh, okay, here's a bunch of students. I see so many students all the time. And as usual, you all just knocked me over and made me go, wow, I'm so lucky to be able to share something with you, because you've shared so much with me already and you're just starting.
Might be nice to reciprocate as we sign off. So, Clara, how's it been? How have you enjoyed the conversation, and what are you taking away from it?
Oh, this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks. Sitting here, rather be in a room with you playing.
Sophie.
It's been really insightful, really wonderful to hear you speak, and yeah, it's just something great to sort of break up the kind of monotony of everything being online. It really feels like you
Oh,
can
wow.
connect through this kind of stuff.
Does
Yeah.
that? It really does. And Piera.
Yeah, thanks so much. This has been really, 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 as everyone said, insightful, and it was great to check out some of this ensemble music. Castle Mountain's an amazing tune, and I'm really, particularly, it was great to hear how, with this tune, how the melody, I mean, the treatment of the melody is like, sorry, I'm trying to formulate my words. The harmony moves around so much, but the melody is so strong, and I always find that with jazz, when that comes through, it's a real impressive feat to really maintain a sense of melody with something that moves around so much harmonically. So really great for that tune, and thank you for the chat.
That one started with the bass line, so there you go. Things start different.
I'm really thrilled to be reconnected. I've missed you heaps and heaps, but thought about you.
Yes.
Every summer we talk about your wonderful piece at the Sound of Music Summer School as well, and they're going to be joining us next week talking about what we do there. Before we say goodbye, Nick, might you come and join us, and then we'll go and share the piece at the very end. I don't know if you've noticed as well, but my cheeks have got redder and redder. I don't know what that's all about. It must be the sheer.
You're just so excited.
Thoughts of standing on a mountain at some point and seeing that vista.
You feel like you climbed that mountain. I can't wait to do it again one day, just not at the pace I did it that time. Oh my God. It was something, let me tell you.
Maybe one day we'll even get to do that walk together.
We'll all have to do the walk and play the music while we do it and go, come on, you can do it. You can do it.
So Nick, next week I think we've got Judith Robinson joining us from Sound of Music.
Yes, we do indeed. So Judith will be here 6 o'clock every Wednesday. You can catch our conversations. #NashYouthJazz. Wednesdays is the series.
And we actually put the series in our newsletter. So how do people sign up for the newsletter in case they want to be more connected and get that immediate information from us?
Great. So you can sign up for the newsletter by visiting nationalyouthjazz.co.uk/donate, not donate, / sign up. I'm almost on autopilot.
And with that in mind, you also send out weekly reminders, and I think if people sign up for the newsletter, they'll automatically get those as well, won't they?
Yes, you'll also be kind of automatically put into the social updates, which is everything that's going on with our #NashYouthJazz Wednesdays. So you'll get both emails as well. And then also Monday next week, we're going to be doing a pre-record with Pete Ind, aren't we, who played with Tristano and with Lee Konitz, as well as going on to do various other things. 92 years old, what a legend. So, and he's had his vaccine, which is fantastic, and then we're doing a pre-record just so that the whole hour, he's not got that whole hour conversation, but there's going to be a quiz, so you've got to keep watching us for the whole of March, because he's actually going to give us some prizes to give out, which is really wonderful. And then finally, as we're about to go and tour and prepare for our summer school, a lot of people are still having difficult times because of COVID, and we've got more requests for bursaries than we've ever had before. So I think we've already managed to achieve a bit of our target for the 15th birthday and also for the summer school bursary, but we've still got a way to go. So how do people donate? We do. So if you'd like to support NYJC and its commitment to making our work accessible to all young musicians, no matter what their background, this time please visit nationalyouthjazz.co.uk/donate. And there you'll be able to find the campaign, which is a £15,000 campaign for 15 years of NYJC. And I think we're currently at £2,000 of that campaign, or just under that amount. So we really would appreciate your help with that one.
So, Christine, so that you know what we're doing with that is we're actually commissioning alumni. So we're bringing in, because now, you know, being 15 means a lot of the earlier summer schools, particularly, they're really out on the scene, really, you know, fantastic new projects. Really, they are the heart of it all. So we will want to bring them back to lead some projects. So it's really exciting times, and I really want everybody to be part of that. But for now, before we sign off and share your wonderful piece, I want to, first of all, can we thank Clara and Sophie and Piera, and I think Alex has disappeared, or is Alex with us?
I think she disappeared.
Disappeared, but
Yeah, Alex had to disappear. Yep.
massive thank you everybody, and Christine, a huge thank you, and I'm so excited. We've got sort of 18 months to plot and plan our 50th birthday, so
big things to come.
Really exciting. Oh, I know John Warren came over as well, didn't he? So I'm looking forward to hearing about John's pieces being played in Canada as well. You two are both huge fans, so we must make sure we get John to come along to the 15th so that you can hook up again. That'd be great. If you don't know who John Warren is, everybody, go on Spotify and find out, and we'll hopefully be inviting him to come and talk to us at some point. But I think the talking has gone on long enough. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to wish you a lovely evening, to look forward to seeing you next week, and we're going to sign off to share this fantastic piece, Christine, Castle Mountain, and I'm going to be the DJ, so it's going to be a bit clunky, and bear with me, everybody. See you soon.
You all rock. Thank you.